Welcome back to the best DFS tips for week 8 with the 33rd team's resident DFS expert, Jordan Vanek. We are talking about the best player to take at each position in DFS this week, starting at quarterback and working our way all the way down to defense. So, Jordan, who is it this week at quarterback? Last week you called Lamar Jackson, who had one of the biggest games of the entire season. What do you expect for this week?
For me, it starts with CJ Stroud. Taking on the Carolina Panthers. Panthers live in zone coverage. They pretty much exclusively play zone. Stroud against zone coverage this year is in the 90th percentile of starting quarterbacks in yards per attempt. He's one of the best quarterbacks starting against zone. He's had the bye week, just like Carolina has, to prepare for each other. Feels like a spot for him with Nico Collins and Tank Dell to get it going and continue the great rookie season that he has started. Everybody's going to be playing the 4,300 Sam Darnold because it's the easiest spot to play. I think I want to go up to Stroud, who's not getting a lot of love this week.
If you had to pick one of Tank Dell or Nico Collins this week in your DFS lineups, who would it be?
Nico Collins, he's just been phenomenal all year long. We know Dell's coming off, obviously, the injury, and Nico Collins has been the alpha in that receiving room each week. And with the Carolina Panthers corners, we have a lot more issues with size than we necessarily do with finesse. So Tank Dell is going to be great. I think both of them are going to be fine. I think Nico Collins just has the bigger upside.
I'm also thinking it's Nico Collins week. Nico Collins this year averages less than 10 points in odd weeks, but in even weeks like week 8, he averages over 20 fantasy points. Obviously, that means he's going to go off for this week. But what about the running back position? Who's the guy that sticks out to you the most right now?
Brees Hall, like he's finally got the full-time role. He has gone up in snaps pretty much each week, and every time he goes up in snaps, it feels like his production follows. He's one of the best running backs in football right now. He's one of the guys that looks like he's fully recovered from that ACL injury. And against the Giants' run defense has been better in recent weeks, but they've also just played lesser like offensive lines. Like the Bills' offensive line, they can't run the ball. They don't even run the ball anymore. It felt like last night watching them against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they just threw the ball the entire game out of 3 wide receiver sets. And then you look at the Washington Commanders, not exactly a team that's going to pound you on the ground, especially with their offensive line issues. I think Howell's been sacked 100 times this year. I'm not necessarily sure, but Brees Hall against the Giants, this is a game for him to just continue his dominance, and he's going to get the ball 20 plus times against this Giants team.
It seems like they're realizing more and more that this offense should be running through Brees Hall and not Zach Wilson. Crazy that it took this long, but I'm glad to see that they're finally coming around to it. What about at wide receiver? Obviously, the most players to decide from. This is the biggest position to probably decide for the entire slate. Where are we going for this week?
So obviously, you got Nico and Tank. Those are the guys that you want to stack with Stroud. But I mean, AJ Brown is another week to do what he did the first time. I understand that they just played each other. I understand they're going to be trying to do everything they can to take him away. Why wouldn't they do that in the first game? Like they don't have the corners to be able to match up with AJ Brown. They play a lot of man coverage just because they're forced to do so because of the teams, and they give up leads, and then next thing you know, they have to bring in a player to defend the run. It's going to be AJ Brown or it's going to be DeAndre Swift for Philly this week. AJ Brown to me is the guy that it seems like has the biggest upside. And for some reason, he wasn't getting as much love earlier in the week. I'm interested to see how that plays out throughout the rest of it. And then the other guy I'm going to continue to go to is Zay Flowers. Obviously, last week Lamar had this 300-yard game, and Zay Flowers kind of disappointed. However, it was just a product of this is what Lamar Jackson can be. Like he can spread the ball. He can operate in an offense where as long as his players are making plays, he's going to be a great player. This is a spot for Zay Flowers against the Arizona Cardinals secondary to get it going. It's, I think, the first time where I believe he gets over that 100-yard bonus that we've been kind of waiting for from him. Last week, he could have done it if Lamar Jackson wanted to go to him every play, but Gus Edwards had 80 receiving yards for Lamar, so it wasn't really needed for him to have that massive day.
It's only a matter of time. I mean, we keep seeing the targets are there, the volume is there. Lamar Jackson as a passer is starting to be there. Again, the breakout week is imminent. We've seen it with some of these other rookies. I think it's finally time for that big breakout game for Zay Flowers. What about the tight end position? I mean, every week we could go really easy and just say, I'll go Travis Kelce, I'll go Mark Andrews. But if we were going to go beyond that for week 8, like where would be the best spot to go at tight end?
It seems like everybody's going to pay down for Trey McBride against the Baltimore Ravens because they see a guy that's going to get all the snaps now, and Zach Ertz has obviously moved to IR. So instead of going that way, I don't feel like that's the matchup I want to attack. Obviously, if Kyler Murray somehow steps in at quarterback, then yeah, I'll probably have a lot more love there. But for me, it's George Kittle against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals give up the most or second most points to inline tight ends. We know Kittle's going to operate from that inline position. He doesn't get split out wider in the slot as much as some of the other premier tight ends. And talk about safety for Sam Darnold. Like, you want easy throws, you want easy completions. Getting it to Kittle is a great person to do that with. Bengals are going to have a lot of issues defending Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, hopefully, if he's back on the outside. So with that, it's going to open the door for Kittle to make some plays. And with Darnold at quarterback, I think it's going to be a lot of Kittle this week.
I love that. What about defense? I mean, obviously the toughest position to predict every week. We're looking for a touchdown. We're looking for some upside. You've made some really great calls on defense. Can we do it again on week 8?
I mean, it's so hard to avoid Atlanta. Like, Atlanta as a 2.5-point favorite on the road in a game total that has 35 points. These two teams play extremely slow. We know how frustrating last weekend was with the Bijan Robinson having a headache and not being able to play. For me, it's just a matter of who starts. If it's Will Levis, I have much more interest into the Atlanta Falcons defense. If it is Malik Willis, not as interested because they're going to run the ball. If it's Will Levis, I know they're going to have a lot more opportunity to pass. And one thing Will Levis struggled with in his final season at Kentucky was his offensive line wasn't good. And as a result, he held the ball long. He took sacks. He threw a lot of bad interceptions. But with Malik Willis, we know there's a chance that like it's just Derrick Henry 20 times. And then Tajay Spears gets the other 20 plays. Like, there's a chance that they don't throw the ball at all. You want your defense to be facing a team that throws the ball, throws it bad, gets those sacks, gets those interceptions. If teams are running it 3 times and punting, you're not exactly gaining a lot of fantasy points.
Well, fingers crossed for Will Levis then. Again, it seems like it's due for the mayonnaise man to finally get his looks at the Titans. But either way, that was fantastic. You've been as accurate as anybody every single week. People need to be tuning into this and more stuff from the 33rd team. So don't forget to like, subscribe, turn the bell notifications on for more 33rd team goodness coming out each and every single day.